I'm a big exponent of being able to take chord progressions and break them down into two voices, if at all possible. Certainly when you're playing heavy rock and you've got distortion going on with your chords, you want to be able to make them as concise and cut through as best as possible. If you play an A chord, you play your big bar. With distortion, there's a lot of it's quite busy. That's better. The power chord gives you. But what you have to do is also listen sonically as to whether or not the bass is down there. And if the bass is down there, your guitar is never going to win a fight with the bass. The bass frequencies will just win. So what you have to do is you have to move yourself into a slightly different register. And that's where the D and the G strings come in handy, because you can have, which might not sound like grr, but certainly in that register it does cut through. Or if you've got two guitar players. So I'm going to look at a chord progression that comes from a song called Modern Day Cowboy by Tesla from 1986. And I'll show you the chord progression and I'll show you kind of how it gets played. So the chord progression, if I remember correctly, is kind of, clean that up for a second. A, F, G, D, A, F, D, G, E, A. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So what they do, there's actually two guitar players, so they kind of work the two voicings together. One of them's going, which is really, it's precise, it's concise, and it's precise. You got your A. This will be an F power chord. You got the F here, and that's your note of C, which is your fifth. If you want a G, which moves up, then it goes down to a D, and this is where the fun comes in. Because what you've got here is, this is the note of G, so this is kind of your root, and you put the major third, it's a D major chord, in the root. We get this slightly spread out chord. So a change from D to G is literally that. Now that's a kind of a that's cool. So what they've got here is they've got so on that one, D, G, E. And then what they do is they come up and the second guitar plays A. That's going to be F, because F, if you play an F chord, that's the root, and the third is the A. Well, you've already got the A here in the bottom, so you've got, but if you move this up to here, turns it into an F chord, or implies an F chord anyway. And then for the G, these two together, this would be fifth and root, and then it goes to your D chord, which is a D, and your third. So there's different ways of getting these chords. So you're getting now they cut through really, really well, and they also kind of like perform harmonies with each other. So it's worth sitting down and working on what are the combinations you can get. What can these things be? That can be an A. That would be an E. So just going. And that would be a C. So yeah. Now you've got, which kind of cuts through because the bass player is going to be going. Sorry. And you can have the. So it's, what I would do is I would sit and work through each of these going, okay, if this is the root, what's the chord? If this is the root, what is the chord? So that you can look at the roots being on each one and what the combinations between that, 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 that. These are just some combinations of fingers. What that could be, because that sounds like it might be a diminished. Because you might see that as being kind of like, I don't know, E diminished, and it could be E diminished. But also in my head, I can see this as being the 7th and the 3rd of an F sharp 7. So you could have a. So these are all different ways of playing these chords. I mean, I have got a sheet where I can point out what each of these are. It's quite a long sheet, very involved. But it's better if you can sit down and work it out for yourself, and at least put them into context, and then try taking some chord progressions that you already know and seeing how you can get them in the smallest amount of sort of movement of fingers. So if you had A, D, and E. And that's just playing on those two strings. That's an A, D, root and 5th, E, A, D, and that could be E major. Just A and E. There's many ways of playing with it, but as an exercise, I think you can sit down and you can do that. You can work your way through that. That would work out really well.